to the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis, the beginning. And it's great to see us here today. I know that the teenagers and the rest of the church are downstairs. The Kids Kingdom workers and everything. But it's great to be on the 12th day of January. And like we say, like play, the year has kicked off. And by God's grace, one day we are going to be saying another Merry Christmas to each and every one of us. This morning has been very exciting. I don't know if they are here, maybe they've gone downstairs, but I would like to give a shout out to all our children instrumentalists that were here. I didn't even realize that they were the ones that were beating the drums, and we let's put our hands together for them. I know they might not be here now. They've gone out. That was good. Even as we continue to groom the next generation, it's so incredible to have them here. Now, let me just ask, how many of you have gotten a hard copy of the Power Series? Just wave it, put it up, let's see. People who don't have it will feel very bad. All right, that's the whole idea. All right, okay. All right, but you don't have to feel bad because we actually brought 30 extra copies, or more than maybe more, in addition to all the ones that was ordered. So after today's service, please make sure if you are in Ikeja especially, and if you are visiting, see Mr. Dotun. Where's Dotun Olutubi? Is he downstairs? Dotun, where are you? All right, that Dotun. See Dotun and get a copy. It's just 1,000 naira, and it's going to be really awesome. And I want to challenge us today, this year. I want to challenge us again. We try to make the game a bit naughty this year, a bit difficult, but not too difficult. In fact, some of the answers are looking at you in the face. But I challenge anybody who will be the first to finish all the games. And those games are from the pages of the book. So as you are reading, the words are there. On page 36, page 40, page 48, page 99, and page 150. So those are the games. So as you are reading, the words are there, the meanings are there. And so I challenge anyone, like I do every year, as soon as you finish it, just take a snapshot of it, send to my WhatsApp, then I'll give you a gift. Let's see how many people we received. Last year, I believe this time last year, maybe about 10 people got the, maybe more. Most of them are teenagers, so let's see whether the adults will do something today. I also would like to thank the choir. I know we had some technical issues this morning, especially with the sound, but the choir came through. I want to really say thank you to all of them. So I also appreciate the honest prayer. I call it the honest prayer of our dear brother Shegun Oladende. And I know that even before any voice came out of your mouth, God has already answered your prayer. Amen. And I also want to thank our dear brother Frank Honora for that very positive communion, message that he has given to us. God, that's the only way. That's the only way. You have the right to think, and you have the right to worry about the microphone and the speakers. All right, so I want to thank also the guys in the sound crew. We need to thank them also. So you have the right to worry or the right to believe. All right, the right to worry, right to believe. For those of you who attend the daily Power Series devotional, this morning we did talk about your areas of control, your areas of influence, and your areas of concern. And we advise everybody to start building from their areas of control. What is it that you have control over? I have control over my ability to smile. I have control over my ability to sit down. But there are so many things you do not have control over. For some, you might have influence. You can talk to someone to give you, a bottle of drink or to get you a chair. You can have influence. But most things in life, we do not have control and we do not have influence in it. So those are the areas where we worry. And Jesus told us, do not worry. The Bible says, do not worry. Because worrying does not add anything. It's the same energy, maybe more, that you use in worrying, that you use also having faith. In fact, it takes more faith to worry than not to worry. I don't know. I'm just using some words there. So there you have muscles on your face. You have those that you can use to smile and the one that you can use to frown. I choose to smile because It's better for my psyche. All right. So and I also want to thank the brother who prayed. Of course, Sharon also prayed. People are praying for the fire incident in California. Is this thing is too loud? I'm hearing myself. The fire incident in California. Yes, last week I got in a group where I belong, where I have a lot of our leaders all over the world, and they were sharing pictures and sharing stories. Many of our disciples that live in Hollywood and California have lost their homes. Their houses have been burnt down, and the ones who escaped, they don't have electricity and so many things. So again, in our own quiet moments, let's remember, to pray for them also. Very, very important. And we pray that, we can't even handle such thing. You don't have to. So it's too loud. Turn it down. I don't know about you. Whenever I go to, have you realized that when you go to parties, these days, you can barely hear yourself in the party. It's too loud. And the more I take it away, the more they put it up. Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you? All right, so they decided to turn it off. Can you hear me? All right, guys, what did you guys do? It doesn't matter where I switch it to, you just turned it down. Well, anyway, all right, maybe you can give me another of those mic. I can use the other one. But anyway, so the fire thing, let's go to pray for them. Many have lost their homes. Electricity have been cut off, and as of last week, I'm not sure right now, but the fire service are running out of water. Fire service are running out of water. And so you can imagine if the American fire service runs out of water, if it happens in Nigeria, what do we do? It's just a hopeless situation. So let's go to pray that God will console everybody there that have been affected. People in America live either at the East Coast or the West Coast because there's a Rocky Mountain that divides them up. So it's very, very dry in California, very, very dry. And that's why you have things like that happen every time. Today we're going to continue in our message. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. We have disciples all over the world, just like we have in California, every state in America, every continent in the world. And visitor today is people I've not seen in almost 30 years. I still don't know where they are, but I want us to show some love as we welcome our dear brother and sister, Mr. and Mrs. Ekezue, Fidelis and Bolekezo. Where are you guys? Are you guys in? I've not seen them in. Okay, there they are. Yeah, there they are. Welcome. I've not seen them in decades. Okay, please, let's fellowship afterwards. It's good to have you in Lagos. Now, this year, we've dedicated our focus on just identity. Okay, identity. And if you are living in Nigeria, and indeed anywhere in the world that you live in, every now and then, whether you are walking on the road, whether you are at an immigration port or a crossing port, or you are at one office, one parastatal, every now and then you will be asked to identify yourself. You'll be asked to identify yourself. There was a joke I had one time. So a policeman stopped this guy on the road. He said, "Sir, wind down your glass, please." One day I said, "Please identify yourself." And the guy took a look at his rear mirror, say, "That is me." I can identify myself. So that's what we call ID card, identification cards. Now, I don't know about you. Sometimes when you are in some great shock or you are in some situation that takes you unaware, you might actually forget your name. One of our brothers shared when he became a disciple, so far up, he went to evangelize in the subway of New York train station underground, and he gave the guy an invitation card. The guy asked him his name. He forgot his name. That brother is our late brother Nietzsche Ogwaya. Sometimes you can forget your name, even though you know who you are. But every now and then we go through what they call identity crisis. We are not sure. Yes, I know I'm saved. I know I'm a Christian, but sometimes, just like our brother Shegu prayed, sometimes we are in between. Just like John the Baptist, the only person, One of the only two people alive at that time that had empirical proof, that had evidence that Jesus is the Messiah. This guy was so knowledgeable, or he knew so much, or he felt so much, that while John the Baptist was in the womb, he leaped for joy, just that the Messiah was nearby. The other person alive who had evidence was Mary, the mother of Jesus. But the time came that John the Baptist began having this identity crisis or belief, crisis of faith. This is the same guy who had a voice. This was the same guy that had a voice that came from him that said, "This is my son whom I love, listen to him." This was the same guy who told everybody, "Behold the Lamb of God that taketh away the sin of the world. It's not me you follow, it's him that you follow." This same man, when his disciple was like, "That guy is baptized more than you, he must increase while I decrease." But when trials come, when temptations come, when difficulties came for John the Baptist, when his life was on the line, this same man who had evidence, who was going around rebuking everybody, telling the king, "That woman is not your wife," the person that could do it. But when things turn around, this same man was the one that told the disciples to go ask, "Are you the guy? Or should you wait for someone else?" In other words, if you are the Messiah, then why am I in jail? If you are the Messiah, why am I suffering? I thought you were supposed to come. But the Bible said that the axe is already at the root of the tree to cut down things, but here I am, suffering. Today, I want to encourage us, and we're going to be preaching this sermon, God willing, hopefully, throughout the year. You're going to be hearing something that has to do with identity. So it's an incredible gift that God has given to us. I remember back in seminary, one of the things that we learn is this Greek word, Imago Dei. Imago Dei. I mean, it's simple to remember it because it's talking about Dei is God, Imago is image, that we are image bearers. We bear the image of God. So as we continue our journey through this series, identity, who we are in Christ. Who we are. We might know Christ, or we are his, whose we are. We are Christ. But what about us? Who are we? We're going to explore what it means to be image bearers, the Imago Dei. So think about it. When you look at a mirror, what do you see? Most men don't look at mirrors unless they are driving. It's okay. But women definitely look at the mirror. The worst thing that can happen is for you not to put a mirror in a lady's bathroom. Well, if you don't put, they have them in their bags. If you see any man that has mirror in his bag, suspect that man. But when you look at the mirror, who do you see? Yes, you see you. Just like I look at the mirror and say, "Well, that is me." I can identify myself. But do you know that when you look at the mirror, you can also see God? Because you are made in the image of God. And that truth of that image is your identity, your purpose, and your mission here on earth. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. Genesis chapter 1, verse 20 and 27. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. This wasn't before Adam and Eve appeared. The image was already with God. The image, before the hard copy of this appeared, there is already an idea. There are writers writing everywhere. There are artists designing. We have the computer work, the proofreading. Then we'll have the soft copy that we can send like spirits. It can go everywhere. Then we'll now trap it in blocks, in bricks, and we'll now put it in hard copy. And that is what we have today. But does it mean that we look like God physically? That's not what it means. The Imago Dei, the image of God, It speaks of the spiritual and moral relationships, the spiritual and moral and rational qualities that is set apart from the rest of creation. No other creature has what you have. No other animal, no other being has what you have. So I want you to imagine again, please do. I want you to imagine a royal seal, if you have seen one before, or let's say a rubber stamp, okay? A royal seal. In those days, kings wear what they call signet ring. Signet ring, very big. And on that signet ring is their image, is their name, is their insignia, is their logo, and they wear it. And whenever a king writes a letter, they will bring wax, like candle wax, they burn it and put on a letter, and the king will just press his signet ring is there. That is the mark of authority. So I want you to imagine the royal seal that is pressed into wax or rubber stamp, like we have it today. That seal, that wax begins to bear the image of the king. That seal represents the authority. It represents the character of the king. Likewise, in the same way, you and I, you are God's royal seal on earth. We are God's royal seal. We are the ones that bear his authority and will reflect his character. You must have heard, you must have heard me several times say this. When you begin to study Genesis, I love Genesis. That's one of the books that I teach in the School of Mission. I love teaching Genesis because that is the book of the origins. You can find most things, everything there coming out. The way Genesis is written, if you look at it with the eyes of God, with an inner eyes, you will see that is how temples are built. Temples are built from the foundation up, and they are done with all kinds of. In fact, temples are built to impress. And in ancient time, you don't build a temple in a valley. You go to a high place. That's where they build a temple. Just like you go to Israel. In Jerusalem, you can see the temple from everywhere because it's on that part of area they call Moriah. And specifically, it's on Zion. If you go to Mount Olympus for the Greeks, that is where their own temple, the temple of Artemis, you can see it from everywhere. The temple of Zeus from everywhere. So that people can draw to it. And after they build the temple, and they lay with gold, with big stones to impress. People come out. One of the places I love visiting in Abidjan, in Ivory Coast, is Yamoussoukro. And God willing, in August, I'll probably be in Yamoussoukro. The teachers are having a meeting in Yamoussoukro. The basilica in Yamoussoukro is bigger, better, more adorned, more magnificent than the one in Rome. But you see, you won't hear about it because it is not in Oyibo country. It will take your breath away. The basilica. It's stupendous. It's just too much. The dome, everything there was built to impress you. So after they built the temple, the last thing they will now put is to put the image of the God right there as you come in. So you see the image of the God that they are worshiping. You can see the image of Artemis or the image of Zeus, Poseidon, or the image, so that when you come there, we're like, whoa, this is the God they are worshiping. And that was why when the Greeks and the Romans forced their way into the temple of the Jews, they actually wrote down that these people, they wrote down to Caesar that these people in our province were found, they are atheists. They call them atheists. That's what they wrote. They are atheists. They don't have a God. We entered their temple. They said temple, there was no God. Unlike the Greeks that worship stone, the Jews didn't have any stone to worship. They don't worship any stone. But when God has made the whole world, he has built everything, put the firmament, everything was said. Just like we learn in ecology, the basis of every life form is from microorganism. Everything came from water to grass. Then God made animals that will eat grass. They made animals that eat grass, and made animals that eat the animal that eat the animal that eat grass. Eventually, you and I became the crown of his creation. We are the image in the temple that he built. The world is the temple of God. And God placed mankind as the image. We are image bearers. When people look at us, they will know that they are God. And our job is to spread the glory of that God everywhere so that mankind will see. But unfortunately, right from Genesis, our ancestors began to have identity crisis. Did God really say? Not that God didn't say. Satan could have said God didn't say. Well, what? God said it. But did he really say? That's where the crisis, where we begin to now judge it, when we begin to wonder. So here's the challenge. Sin distorts that image of God. Like a broken mirror, if you've seen a broken mirror before, it's not a very good thing. If you go to a broken mirror, it will just split you in half. It will distort your face. Just like a broken mirror, our reflection of God becomes fracked. Like let's say fractionized. Or let's say fractured. You cannot see it, very well. So when people are looking at us, they are not really seeing God. Yet, Christ is the restorer of that image. That was why Christ came to restore that image. His name is Emmanuel, God with us. God came down to restore that image. People have tried to go back to that image. God gave them some rules, some regulation. If you read the book of Galatians and Colossians, after a while, people now began to hog those rules rather than thinking about God. So, number one, you are that image. What is the Imago Dei? Number two, we're going to reflect God's character. Colossians chapter 3, verse 10. Reflecting God's character. And you observe that these things are things that we've already studied. We finished Colossians just a few days ago. And today we are in Galatians chapter 2. If I would just ended Galatians, we are going to go to Galatians chapter 3 as you read the power series. So a lot of things we're going to be preaching will also be to remind you. In Colossians chapter 3 verse 10, it said, put on the new self. We have to put off so I can put on. Put on the new self, which is being renewed. Continuous tense, which is being renewed in the knowledge, in the image of his creator. And that was why Romans chapter 12 said, do not conform. When you conform, you crystallize. You do it without your own permission. You are just going. Bible says, do not conform to the pattern. Every cloth has a pattern. Every building, we have architects in the house. We have builders in the house. Every building has a pattern. For all of us that are wearing, I design 99% of everything I wear, including this. So because I studied it in school. So everything has a pattern. The pattern I use in sewing this is not what you use in sewing a jacket or a bada. Different pattern. So do not conform to the pattern of this world. But what you and I need is to be transformed, beyond form, the place that you are in, to go beyond your current form. Bible said that by continually renewing your mind. It's not something you do just one day. It's like cleaning your house. You don't clean it just once in 3 years. The best way is to clean it constantly. To groom yourself constantly. You can't have one haircut and say, wow, this haircut will last me 10 years. It's not possible. The hair will be there, but the pattern will have been distorted. It will overgrow. All the hair will have gone. Every single thing will change. Unless you're a woman. Women have a way of creating that. Women can put on and put off easily. They can wear wig. The one is all. Women are wonderful. Somebody said, woman is the only creature that God made. Somebody said, why did God give us eyebrow? Woman will scrape eyebrow and put on that one. I don't like that one. Only women can remove eyebrow and put. Men, you try it. If a man, remove your eyebrow, let's see what's going to happen to you. In fact, they can even make a stencil. I've seen it. Stencil, they will not spray. They will not spray. We can't even do that with beards. So every now and then, our image is challenged. It's challenged. We go through crisis. And those crises don't come when everything is going well. Usually when things are tough, we also reflect. So today is either you are a spiritual caterpillar or you are a spiritual butterfly. What do caterpillars do? Caterpillars have only one job. Only one job, to eat. They consume. They consume and consume and consume. Imagine a caterpillar that refuses to stop eating and to hibernate so that the work of nature can now work in that caterpillar. When a caterpillar stops eating and now obeys the law of nature, attaches itself to a branch, and that miracle began to happen. That miracle of metamorphosis. That is the transformation from within, and from maybe an ugly looking caterpillar and a brownish looking cocoon, something wonderful comes out. Every disciple is a potential butterfly. Yes, it's good to eat. You get nurtured. But if you love the eating so much that you refuse to transform, then you are going to be eaten by birds or something. You will die. The nourishment that you receive every morning, for those of you that come from the 5 to 6 morning time that we have, the nourishment that you get when you meet your discipling partner, the nourishment that you receive at midweek services, nourishment you receive at everywhere, is to make sure you grow. But if you are being nourished and you're not growing, something is wrong. Mothers know that very well. Say, or you can say, oh, this child is not eating, or he's eating but it's not growing, and it gives parents concern. And as a church, it also gives us concern that some of us are being fed, but we refuse to manifest. Something is wrong. So Romans 12. Do not conform, but be transformed. Reflecting God's image, it means embodying God's character. It means embodying God's love. It means embodying God's grace. It means embodying God's patience. It means embodying God's justice, God's mercy, and God's truth. Just like we learned today in Galatians, how Paul opposed Peter to his face. You are clearly wrong. Once upon a time, a missionary was describing a visit to a remote village. In this village, people have never heard about Jesus Christ. But look at what the people said. People remarked, they were like, say, you seem to look like this your God. Their very word is that, though you look like your God is a kind God. Because when you will see kindness in you. So in other words, people who have never had a spiritual encounter with Jesus, they will see you and say, well, if that is the God you are serving, I can see it in you. Because the life of this missionary reflected kindness, reflected the goodness of God. And that is what it means, to reflect it, to be image bearers. So question for us today, when people see us, they should have a glimpse of God. They should see a glimpse of God's mercy, God's kindness, God's patience. They should see a glimpse. They should be able to touch the hem of God through our life. The Bible says, because we love one another, people will know we are disciples. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. Apart from putting us on earth to be image bearers, the Bible said that the Lord God took man and he put him in the garden of Eden. To do what? To walk it and to take care of it. So apart from being image bearers of God, we are also custodians of the world. God placed Adam and Eve to take charge. In fact, God made Adam became a co-creator with God. God creates, brings it to Adam. He said, Adam, put a label. God creates, put a stamp on it. God creates, how if you've gone to a conveyor belt, whether it's beverage or whatever, it pours in, seals it, goes round, and they now put a label on it. Adam was one putting names on there. He said, whatever name you call it, that's what's going to be. So mankind became co-creators with God. You see, we are caretakers of creation. God has entrusted us with resources. I have resources, you have resources. We are caretakers of everything. Relationships, we have opportunities to honor God, to do good. See, as stewards, we have to go beyond just the environment. We have to be stewards of our gifts. God has given all of us gifts. God has given you time, that 24-hour mark every single day. What are you doing with your time? God has given you the ability to have relationships. You must have relationship, time, ability. You must use all of them to glorify God. Remember, you represent him in your job, in your school, in your community. You are custodian of everything. And if you were there 2 days ago at our early morning devotional, and we're sharing the life of Paul, where when Paul said, I'm being poured out, that was his last letter that he wrote to Timothy, 2 Timothy. Paul said, I'm being poured out. He said, I've run the race, I've fought the fights. He was using Olympic analogy. In Olympic, people run, people fight. He said, I've been poured out as a drink offering. He said, the only thing left right now is a crown that I'm going to receive. In all of us, we have to, you cannot die with your gifts. You have to empty yourselves. You have to. God forbid you die, for example, and they say, oh, this fellow died and he has $1 billion in his account. What is it in your account? Oh, this person died, but he had gifts. He could sing, he could whatever, but you never used it. You didn't yourself. You are good in administration, but you don't administer justice. You are good in XYZ, but people didn't know in church. You live and you die with your gifts. A brother once said, rather than going to hell and become burnt fire, I want God to look at me and say, my son, well done. So which one will you prefer? A soup that is burnt or the one that is well done? God should say, well done. You did very well. But the opposite is going to hell and being burned. John Wesley, the other brother of Charles, Wesley, he once said, do all the good that you can, by all means that you can, in all ways that you can, in all the places that you can, at all times that you can, to all people that you can, as long as ever that you can. Empty yourself. This is the heart of stewards. Stewards are there to serve, and we must serve. Number 4, we must love one another. On chapter 13, verse 34, we know that passage from the time we are studying to become disciples. We know that it's not by our preaching, it's not by our looks. The Bible said, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. The standard of love must be just the standard. It must be sacrificial. It says, so you must love one another. You don't may, nor you could, you must love one another. He said, by this everyone will know that you are my disciple, if you love one another. And I believe that we have love in our church, but we need to take it higher. I've not seen anybody who comes to any of our church. I've visited our churches in 5 continents. I've been to whatever there, and even if you're a stranger, you will know that there is love in this church. We're not a church that people just close and nobody knows anybody. You just go. We are very communal, so we need to take it higher. There is to love. The Bible says people will know we are disciples. People are going to say, these people, they love this. People tell us, this is your church, you love yourself. I say, but that's how it's supposed to be. There's no big man or small man or whatever. Everybody, we are one. But we need to do it, not just as an ideology. We need to live it out, continue to live it out. This is the greatest way that we can reflect God, because God does not have love. God himself is love. By love others as Christ loved us. Love isn't just a warm feeling. Love is an action. Love is a choice. Love is something that you sacrifice for. So we need to love another. That is our identity. When people say, these people love themselves, these people take care of themselves, these people reflect the love of God, that is our identity. When we stop doing that, you're going to fall into identity crisis. Love begins in very small ways, very unseen way, a very small unseen acts of kindness. Then it begins to ripple effect. It begins to transform. Love can transform anything. People have studied it, psychologists, scientists, they said love has the strongest vibration in the whole universe. Everything responds to love. Animals respond to love. Trees respond to love. Water responds to love. Try it. Everything responds to love. We have seen experiments where they got two plants, plant A and plant B, and they put them away, put water, put whatever there, and you begin to say nice things to this one. I mean, it's a miracle. You can try, it's a miracle. Say nice things. Say, wow, it's such a beautiful flower, such a beautiful plant. The other one, put it in another place and be saying negative things. So cursed, you are so ugly. People were shocked. After a while, the one that was not encouraged began to wither away. How does it happen? God spoke the universe into existence. There was no raw material. There was no, like today we need sand, we need whatever, but God just spoke. All the elements that we know, the periodic table. Now we name them by hydrogen, which is the first element, because that's what allows the sun to burn. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Everything began to come and it began to move together and began to compress together. And boom, there was an explosion. Science called it the Big Bang. And things began to roll. And just like your Eba, you roll this whatever, it began to get round. And there were planets and there were little stars, stardust, every single thing. And God began to speak. Everything began to happen. When you speak, the same thing happens. That is why you can see somebody who is trying to commit suicide. And just by the word of your mouth, they will drop the gun down. They will calm down. They will listen. And the same way you can see somebody who is very happy. You speak word, they will kill themselves. Words from our mouths. And that's why people say our word should be seasoned with salt. So words leave you like it's leaving you right now. It is just sound waves. It enters your ear. Your outer ear, picks it up. Take it to the mid ear. Then these three hammers began to vibrate. Then it goes to your brain. They are vibrations. And those vibrations will create emotion in you. When you hear a song that you really love, like if you hear an old song that you've not heard for like ages, you're just, wow, nostalgia. It's like your mind just goes to the 70s or to the 80s just because of vibration. Yeah. And so when you speak to water, watch out for the vibration. Very calm. When you put rock music, you see begin to go. So we are 75% or so water. The same way the word, God made the whole world. About 75% water. So when sound hits you, you vibrate. It's called emotion. It can give you negative emotion or positive emotion. And we have found out that about 95% or so of every sickness in the world has a cause. It can be traced to one cause. And that cause is within you. And that cause, 100%, is traced to one cause. Negative feeling. Your body needs to be at ease. When you remove ease, what you have is disease. So your body gives you signal. It begins to shake when the weather is too cold. What your body is doing is to vibrate to create energy. When you eat something poisonous, something whatever there, your stomach will begin to squeeze so that it can let it out. That is how God has made the body. That's why the psalmist said, wonderfully made. What God put together, knit together, is amazing. So watch out the things you feed yourself. The greatest way is by love. Mother Teresa, most of us have heard about him. She once said that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. If you want to change the world, go home, love your family. That is very, very profound. Love begins in small ways. Love one another, regardless of differences. Love one another, regardless of your offenses. Love one another, regardless of the circumstances. We have to mirror this unconditional love that God has for us. Our call to action today is to become reflectors of God. So what do we do now? What does all this thing mean for us? Today is the first day of the week. Tomorrow is the first working day of the week. We call it Monday. Alarm will go off tomorrow. It can be an internal alarm or it could be a physical alarm. Three things I want us to do. Number one, you must seek to know God more deeply. Remember that song? Almost like a rhyme that we were taught in school. It's called Day by Day. It's a prayer song. Day by day, dear Lord, I plead. Three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day. So seek God tomorrow deeply. You can't reflect someone you don't know. Mirror cannot reflect something that is not close to it. You need to dive into the scriptures. Spend time in prayer. If you want to attend the early morning devotional, something we started for people in Ikeja here. People are joining from virtually every region in Lagos. From Lagos to Kaduna, to Port Harcourt, to Europe, America, Canada. People are coming. People stay awake midnight so they can join us, because for us it's early morning. Where we pray together. We hear inspirational song. We meditate. We have commentaries from the Bible. Start your day very well. Number two, seek. Number one, seek God. Number two, ask daily, how can I reflect God's image today? Whether it is by showing kindness to someone around you, whether it's by being honest at your work, or whether it is by your stewardship, how you use your resources wisely. Your life becomes a canvas for God's glory. For canvas, you just put painting on it so that people can see. When you paint, I studied arts in my first degree in school. So you put canvas, then you hang it, you frame so everybody can see. People need to see your life as a canvas. Number three, first you seek, second you ask, then thirdly you must be intentional. Be intentional about loving others. Let your hands be the hands of God to touch people around you. Let your feet be the feet of Jesus for people around you. Regain your identity. When you have your identity, you are going to walk around with a bounce in your feet because you know who you are. I think I told you the story when a disciple, one of our sisters from the US, she's a Nigerian. She came home for adoption of a child, and they had to go to the embassy. So I drove them to the embassy very early in the morning. The American embassy is the most humiliating place in the world. I hate that place. Very humiliating. See, everybody have to be humble. Well, I said because of visa. So everybody was there. You have appointment at 10 o'clock. You come by 5 o'clock. Wow, Nigerians are very punctual. So she was there. She didn't know what to do. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, sir, what's your passport? He gave it to me. You are an American citizen. I've never seen it done before. I've never done it before. I just said, give me your passport. And I just hold it up this way. I don't know. Oh, sir, come. Is that your family? Come. Listen, guys, they ushered us into the embassy. They didn't even say remove your phone, carry your bag, enter. Because of a blue-looking passport. They didn't even say who is it inside. They said, they were like, just that passport. At that point, she forgot who she is. She was an American. This is your embassy. A lot of us today, we are still thinking like the world. It's an identity crisis. I remember our brother in the US, he became an American citizen. So he had his passport for a long time. Americans don't travel, mostly don't travel. This time he came to, that is Richard Alawaye, by the way. He came to Nigeria. He was sharing this story. He came to Nigeria. He's a Nigerian passport. For the first time, he was going to show his American passport going back. Now he did it in Nigeria. When he got home, for the first time, there was a separation. Foreigners this way, Americans. So he went there. It's like, then he said, and they took it and stabbed him and said, welcome home. Then he said, I'm an American. Richard. Say, I'm an American. Sometimes we need proofs. Many of us must have heard Dangote in that Mo Ibrahim interview I had. He said, how do you feel to be rich? He said, listen, I only see zero numbers. He said one day, Dangote drove himself, didn't tell anybody, drove himself to the bank. Of course, he has planned it with the bank, give them a whatever, and they withdrew $1 million. Cash. And he put it in his boots and drove home, carried it back, entered his room, locked the door, put it on his bed. He now said, I'm rich. Then he called the bank manager, come and pick this thing, take it back. Sometimes you need something to act as a confirmation. You need a confirmation. If you are confused where you are, where you are from, record yourself and listen to your accent. That's Igbo guy, lived in America, came back home and began to speak phone. Oh, yo, man. What's up, man? What? Why do you come home? Oh, I just came back from the States to attend my sister's wedding. Identity crisis. No matter how you form, there are some things you cannot form out. So, 33 years ago, as a young disciple on campus, so I don't even know how that happened. Somebody gave me a photocopy of a handwritten poem. I still have that poem to today. It's stuck somewhere in my quiet time book. But I looked for that poem and I found that poem. As a young disciple on campus, I used to read that poem to myself, and I'm going to be sharing this poem with you today. I don't know who wrote that poem, but there have been several variants of that poem. That poem is called "I Am a Disciple of Jesus." I am a disciple of Jesus. I am the part of the fellowship of the unashamed. The die has been cast. I have stepped over the line. The decision has been made. I am a disciple of Jesus. I will not look back, let up, slow down, back away, or be still. My past is defined. My present makes sense. My future is secure. I no longer need preeminence, prosperity, position, promotion, plunders, or popularity. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be first. I don't have to be tops. I'm not have to be recognized, praised, regarded, or rewarded. I now live by faith. I love by patience. I live by prayer, and I labor by power. My pace is set. My guide is fast. My guide is heaven, and my road is narrow. My way is rough, and my companions are few. My guide is reliable, and my mission is clear. I cannot be bought, compromised, deterred, lured away, turned back, deluded, or delayed. I will not flinch in the face of sacrifice, hesitate in the presence of adversary. I will not negotiate on the table of mediocrity or plunder in the pool of popularity, nor meander in the maze of mediocrity. I will not give up, back up, let up, shut up until I prayed up, preached up, stored up, stayed up for the cross of Jesus Christ. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I must go until he returns. I must give until I drop. I must preach until everybody knows, and I must walk until he comes for me. And when he comes back, he will have no problem recognizing me, because my color will be clear. Is that your identity? Do you know who you are? All across the whole world, in our culture, people make sure they put an identity. No matter how I pretend, when I go to some marketplaces, they will not. I have marks here. I cannot take them away. I grew up with friends that had tribal marks. You cannot hide them. We have accents. We have our skin color. God has given us an identity. If you go to South Sudan, they are very tall. Congo, they are down to earth. Nigeria, we are confused, but it's okay. But you have an identity. We make the best musicians in the world. We have the best beauty pageants in the world. We have the richest people in the world. Whatever. We have an identity. People want to be Nigerians. Last year, in April, I was at Victoria 4 in Botswana. And we were there, and I had my small guy, we were playing music, whatever. And I saw a group of young people wearing the same t-shirt. And as they heard my music, and I had my Nigerian flag, I go around everywhere I go. And they said, "Are you Nigerian?" I said, "Yes." And what began to say, "They're also Nigerians." And we hug each other. We don't know each other from Adam. Identity of the flag. And we are playing flavor. We are dancing. Identity. And my Southern Africa brother was like, "You see, that is why Nigerians are different from everybody else. Look at them." He said, "They themselves, when they see each other from abroad, they'll hide. But Nigerians like to show. We identity. We like to spray money. We like loud parties. We like loud instruments. We can sing." Our identity. C.S. Lewis once said, "There is no ordinary people. Nobody is ordinary. You have never talked to a mere mortal. You are special. Every person you meet
Whether they are Christians or not Christians, we all bear the image of God, the Imago Dei. Brothers and sisters, let us live here today, not just inspired, not just transformed. I want you to know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The conveyor belt that delivered you, the factory you came from, is from heaven. You were designed to reflect the glory of God. You were designed to reflect the image of your Creator. You have a stamp on you made by Dio himself, and you are the image of Dio. Let us go and bear that image. Let us go in love. Let's go in courage, and let us love one another. To God be the glory.